All right, how do appraisal gaps work? Okay, so I feel like I've tried to explain this like 5 different times and I've never quite nailed it, but there's 2 ways to think about an appraisal gap. One of them is where you have a large down payment. If you have a large down payment, there's essentially no risk in offering appraisal gap coverage. So let's use a $100,000 house as an example, just to make the math easy. And let's say you're putting $50,000 down and you're borrowing $50,000 from the bank on $100,000. Okay. And let's say we offer a $10,000 appraisal gap coverage. So now the appraisal comes back at $90,000. Okay. So now the bank is only going to loan on $90,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to move $10,000 of your down payment. And instead of it going to the bank as down payment, it's going to go directly to the sellers at closing, right? So now $40,000 is going to the bank. They're still loaning you $50,000, and then $10,000 is going directly to the sellers. So your net is that you're still $50,000 out of pocket, and you're still borrowing $50,000 from the bank, right? So in that sense, we have the exact same deal. All we did was move the money around. Now, a different situation would be if you were only putting $10,000 down, right? And then the appraisal comes in $10,000 under, we can't move those $10,000 because then you don't have a down payment, right? So you have to have a down payment or you have to have extra funds on hand. So like my personal buying philosophy is I try to keep as much cash on hand as possible. I'm willing to pay a PMI in order to keep cash on hand. I just think there's problems that can be solved with cash on hand that can't be solved by having equity in your house. So that's my personal philosophy on it. So I'm always in a situation where I'm putting down the least that the bank will let me. And so if I have an appraisal gap, I have a problem because I don't have any money to move. I'm going to have to bring in separate funds that I wasn't planning on spending to get the appraisal gap coverage. So that's where it's more risky, is when you have a small down payment. If you have a large down payment, an appraisal gap is just where the funds are going when. If you have a small down payment, that's where we really need to have a conversation about how much cash do you have available, how much are you willing to spend, and how much is it wise to spend. So I think that's a better explanation of the appraisal gap and how it works. But it's very situation specific. So if we're going to do an appraisal gap, we need to have a conversation first. We can't just be throwing them around willy-nilly. Should I waive a home inspection to win? So I never recommend that buyers have or don't have a home inspection. I typically just describe the reality of the market, and then, whatever risk level you're comfortable with, I'm not going to fight you one way or the other. So now the reality of the situation is that in a multiple offer situation, the overwhelming majority of the time, the winning offer will have waived the inspection. So that's just the reality of the market. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. It just is. And so that's where, if there's 7 offers, I actually had a situation recently where there was 7 offers and 6 of them waived the inspection. So it's like, okay, well, it's going to be tough to be that one who had the inspection. And the only way to overcome that is you're going to have to pay way more than the other 6 were willing to pay. So then it's a question of, okay, what's your risk tolerance level? And would you rather pay a higher price and have the peace of mind that you know what's wrong with the house? Or are you willing to forego that, take on more risk with the condition of the house, but get it at a cheaper price? And so that's just up to you and what your risk tolerance is and how you see it. I personally have a high risk tolerance. So I personally, on all the houses I've bought, I've got rentals in the area and I've had several primary residences. I have personally always waived the inspection. From my perspective, the value I get in a lower purchase price and a smoother deal and less things that can go wrong, I find to be a surplus of value versus what I'm going to get from the inspector. And typically it's a gigantic list of 10 million things that I probably mostly saw when I was walking the house the first time. So if I see misaligned trim and then there's misaligned trim on the inspection report, that kind of already matched up with what I knew. Now, with that being said, they are professional home inspectors. They're going to catch things that you didn't see. And so that, again, it's just what's your risk tolerance and how comfortable are you waiving it versus not waiving it, and how badly do you want the house, against other people who also want the same house. In a single offer situation, you could typically get an inspection contingency accepted, although there again, every offer is a balance of price and contingencies. The more contingencies you add, the higher the price needs to be to accommodate those contingencies from the seller's perspective. So that's where a cash waived inspection offer is just the king, because we've gotten rid of the bank and we've gotten rid of the inspection, and those are the 2 contingencies that go wrong most often. So, I'm not in a position to offer cash for the properties I buy. Maybe you are, in which case, awesome. But that's how I think of it. So, on the one hand, on the far end of it, we've got cash with a waived inspection. On the other far end of it, we've got like an FHA loan with an inspection and a radon test and a lead paint test, right? So it's like we're stacking up contingencies on this side. We're going to have to offer a way higher price to make that compelling to the sellers versus a cash waived inspection.